What's up, welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with a review of ASAP Ferg's new album, Flip Phone Shorty, strictly For Da Streetz Volume 1. Unclear if this is Ferg's fourth album. The title suggests it might be more of a mixtape. It's coming only a year since his last album, Daryl, came out, which was his first release in several years. So Ferg seems to be getting back into more of a regular cadence as a more active rapper, which is great, of course. I'm a big fan of ASAP Ferg, seeing him live, either headlining or in support 5 times at this point. One of my favorite rappers of the 2010s, Work Remix, Certified, New York, classic. But his last big hit, the biggest song of his career, Plain Jane, another banger, that was, 2016. It's been a minute since that song came out. And I really appreciated Daryl last year because that felt like Ferg getting back in the swing of things in a really earnest way. I thought that was one of his best projects, period. It gave you a lot of that core Ferg appeal in terms of high energy bangers, but also some of his most introspective and revealing lyrics to date. Flip Phone Shorty actually is Ferg's first album since leaving Sony and RCA Records. And actually, if you remember back on Daryl, on one of my favorite songs off that, Thought I Was Dead, he actually has that line, this is my last joint with Sony, time to renegotiate, something along those lines. Well, it turns out, seemingly, Ferg is now an independent artist, at least in the traditional definition of the word, and Flip Phone Shorty is his first release under the new label Trilligan Island, which is a fantastic title. So I'll be curious what Ferg's independent career is like. ASAP Ferg's new project, Flip Phone Shorty, strictly For Da Streetz Volume 1, long title aside, I love the beats on this project. It's high energy almost the entire time, but Ferg continues to show an increasing interest in doing different types of genres, but also different styles of vocals. His versatility, the melodic flair that he's dabbled in from time to time, shout out Hood Pope, he's doing that more and more now, and he's just making more varied music. And while we might not be approaching the pinnacle of the best bangers he's ever made, it's a really solid mix here. And I'm just happy that Ferg's back in the mix and releasing regularly again. The second track, Big Dog, is one of my highlights. Great beat, love the bass drum, love the keys, very energetic. I think the flow from Ferg here is very tight. I think that's just great stuff from him. Dem Boys, this one also stood out to me a lot. His Lex Luger beat here, very lavish. I love the way the horns have that distorted sound to them. But the hook, it's almost like this siren vocal, and Ferg is giving you different voices on this track. Dare I say we hear ASAP Ferg's take on the baby voice, which is very interesting here. Of course, ASAP Ferg does have a longtime Playboy Cardi connection. Shout out the Cozy Tapes. Cardi was affiliated with the ASAP mob when he first came up, and I know that sounds like ancient history. Most of Cardi's fans probably were prepubescent when that actually was happening. Feels like so long ago with the 9 lives of Playboy Cardi that we've witnessed thus far, but it is, I think, pretty cool to see that development here. And the second verse, you have this feature from Hunter BDM, and when I first heard it, I thought the voice was actually Max O'Cream. The CeeLo Life voicemail interlude from CeeLo Green, I just enjoyed that because CeeLo was calling Ferg the Trap Lord, calling him the Hood Pope. Just appreciate the callbacks to the old nicknames. And then that beat transitions directly into the next song, POLO, which is a very lively beat once again. More of the nasally flow from Ferg, a little bit less aggressive, but still pretty up-tempo. Fisher Price features Lil B, and noticeably it's actually like a rap verse from Lil B, not just like a sample of him talking or something. Fun throwback for sure. I think when Lil B sings on the chorus, it actually kind of reminds me of Lil Uzi Vert's style of singing. Ferg giving you more of that staccato flow here. Beat kind of drill-esque, I guess you could say. There's cool flourishes here, but those gloomy keys, of course, very familiar for drill. Uptown Baby featuring French Montana, another Lex Luger beat. This one's pretty boring for me. I think the wah 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 refrain from Ferg just kind of dull, and French Montana's feature, unsurprisingly, is quite dull, as expected. They've reconnected recently, of course, due to their mutual friendship with Max B, who's since been freed from prison after many years incarcerated. Putting that aside, the song isn't anything great. Focus on Me is the first of 2 Denzel Curry features here on Flip Phone Shorty, and it's not their first time collaborating. They actually had a song together on Daryl last year. Denzel, I think he's just okay on this. Not my favorite feature from him. The beat's a bit faster, which is fine. I definitely prefer the second Denzel feature with Young OG. I think Ferg's performance here is excellent, giving you several voices again. I think that variety is just very cool. He's able to really pull off this kind of multi-persona thing on the mic. It's pretty cool. Ferg's Strong stood out to me just because Ferg's flow was very reminiscent of Drake's Takedown flow, the Travis Scott song from a few years ago. It just immediately brought me to that. I thought that was pretty cool. And then lastly, Flip Phone Anthem. The beat loop on this is very catchy. Overall, though, I think with a song like Young OG, that's like the best proof of concept yet of Ferg doing all these different voices, all this different vocal flair, all this variety to his music. And we already know he's dabbled in broader genre changes in the past, but I think the fact that he can vary up his vocal delivery to that extreme, I think it bodes pretty well for his clear ambitions and aspirations to broaden his music a little bit. So shout out ASAP Ferg. Between this and Daryl, I'm just happy he's back cooking. He gave a great bootleg Kev interview about 2 weeks ago where he talked about a ton of stuff, ton of things people like to get answers to, such as his, state with the ASAP mob these days. Great stuff on that interview. Check that out. Also, we would be remiss not to, again, bemoan A$AP Rocky's forthcoming album. At one point was called Don't Be Dumb. At one point was dated. We talked about this when Daryl came out. There's been nothing since. A$AP Rocky, where is that album, my guy? The last one, Testing, that was 2018, May 2018. We're coming up on 8 years, which is an eternity in rap. And crazy, considering he's been a public figure this entire time. He's been busy. And I think when he has rapped, like those singles, 2 years ago, Hijack, Taylor Swift, those were great. Frankly, his song on Highs to Lows, the new Spike Lee movie this year, Trunks. I love that track. I like him as an actor. I'm glad he's doing stuff. I'm glad he's a very happy family man with a steadily increasing family size. That's all great. Please, can we make an album though? God, it just feels like fashion and everything else in his life is taking the priority, unfortunately. Nonetheless, the ASAP mob, we still have Ferg. The mob doesn't really feel like much of an entity anymore. That'll change in time. Ferg talked about that. They'll eventually do a reunion tour, and I will be there 100%, no matter how much it costs. That'll be sick. In time. But it doesn't seem like that time is anytime soon. Let me know, what'd you think of Ferg's latest album, Flip Phone Shorty, Volume 1. Will we get a Volume 2? Who knows? Maybe. Let me know what you thought of this. And for more rap reviews, more music reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.